Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Please, don't forget to click subscribe if you want to see more videos. God sees the truth, but waits. Written in 1872, by Leo Tolstoy. In the town of Vladimir lived a young merchant named Ivan Dmitrich Aksionov. He had 2 shops and a house of his own. Aksionov was a handsome, fair-haired, curly-headed fellow, full of fun, and very fond of singing. When quite a young man he had been given to drink, and was riotous when he had had too much, but after he married, he gave up drinking, except now and then. One summer Aksionov was going to the Nizhny fair, and as he bade goodbye to his family his wife said to him,
"Ivan Dmitrich, do not start today. I have had a bad dream about you."
Aksionov laughed, and said,
"You are afraid that when I get to the fair I shall go on the spree."
His wife replied,
"I do not know what I am afraid of. All I know is that I had a bad dream. I dreamt you returned from the town, and when you took off your cap, I saw that your hair was quite gray."
Aksionov laughed.
"That's a lucky sign,"
said he.
"See if I don't sell out all my goods and bring you some presents from the fair."
So, he said goodbye to his family, and drove away. When he had traveled halfway, he met a merchant whom he knew, and they put up at the same inn for the night. They had some tea together, and then went to bed in adjoining rooms. It was not Aksionov's habit to sleep late, and wishing to travel while it was still cool, he aroused his driver before dawn, and told him to put in the horses. Then he made his way across to the landlord of the inn, who lived in a cottage at the back, paid his bill, and continued his journey. When he had gone about 25 miles, he stopped for the horses to be fed. Aksionov rested a while in the passage of the inn, then he stepped out into the porch and, ordering a samovar one to be heated, got out his guitar and began to play. Suddenly a troika drove up with tinkling bells, and an official alighted, followed by 2 soldiers. He came to Aksionov and began to question him, asking him who he was and whence he came. Aksionov answered him fully, and said,
"Won't you have some tea with me?"
But the official went on cross-questioning him and asking him,
"Where did you spend last night? Were you alone or with a fellow merchant? Did you see the other merchant this morning? Why did you leave the inn before dawn?"
Aksionov wondered why he was asked all these questions, but he described all that had happened, and then added,
"Why do you cross-question me as if I were a thief or a robber? I am traveling on business of my own, and there is no need to question me."
Then the official, calling the soldiers, said,
"I am the police officer of this district, and I question you because the merchant with whom you spent last night has been found with his throat cut. We must search your things."
They entered the house. The soldiers and the police officer unstrapped Aksionov's luggage and searched it. Suddenly the officer drew a knife out of a bag, crying,
"Whose knife is this?"
Aksionov looked, and seeing a blood-stained knife taken from his bag, he was frightened. "How is it there being blood on this knife?" Aksionov tried to answer, but could hardly utter a word, and only stammered,
I don't know, not mine."
Then the police officer said,
"This morning the merchant was found in bed with his throat cut. You are the only person who could have done it. The house was locked from inside, and no one else was there. Here is this blood-stained knife in your bag, and your face and manner betray you. Tell me how you killed him, and how much money you stole."
Aksionov swore he had not done it, that he had not seen the merchant after they had had tea together, that he had no money except 8,000 rubles of his own, and that the knife was not his. But his voice was broken, his face pale, and he trembled with fear as though he were guilty. The police officer ordered the soldiers to bind Aksionov and to put him in the cart. As they tied his feet together and flung him into the cart, Aksionov crossed himself and wept. His money and goods were taken from him, and he was sent to the nearest town and imprisoned there. Inquiries as to his character were made in Vladimir. The merchants and other inhabitants of that town said that in former days he used to drink and waste his time, but that he was a good man. Then the trial came on. He was charged with murdering a merchant from Ryazan and robbing him of 20,000 rubles. His wife was in despair and did not know what to believe. Her children were all quite small. One was a baby at her breast. Taking them all with her, she went to the town where her husband was in jail. At first she was not allowed to see him, but, after much begging, she obtained permission from the officials and was taken to him. When she saw her husband in prison dress and in chains, shut up with thieves and criminals, she fell down and did not come to her senses for a long time. Then she drew her children to her and sat down near him. She told him of things at home and asked about what had happened to him. He told her all, and she asked,
"What can we do now? We must petition the Tsar not to let an innocent man perish."
His wife told him that she had sent a petition to the Tsar, but that it had not been accepted. Aksionov did not reply, but only looked downcast.
"It was not for nothing I dreamt your hair had turned gray. You remember? You should not have started that day."
And passing her fingers through his hair, she said,
"Vanya, dearest, tell your wife the truth. Was it not you who did it?"
So you too suspect me?
said Aksionov, and hiding his face in his hands, he began to weep. Then a soldier came to say that the wife and children must go away, and Aksionov said goodbye to his family for the last time. When they were gone, Aksionov recalled what had been said, and when he remembered that his wife also had suspected him, he said to himself,
It seems that only God can know the truth. It is to him alone we must appeal, and from him alone expect mercy.
And Aksionov wrote no more petitions, gave up all hope, and only prayed to God. Aksionov was condemned to be flogged and sent to the mines. So, he was flogged with a knout, and when the wounds made by the knout were healed, he was driven to Siberia with other convicts. For 26 years Aksionov lived as a convict in Siberia. His hair turned white as snow and his beard grew long, thin, and gray. All his mirth went. He stooped, he walked slowly, spoke little, and never laughed, but he often prayed. In prison, Aksionov learned to make boots and earned a little money, with which he bought the lives of the saints. He read this book when there was light enough in the prison, and on Sundays in the prison church he read the lessons and sang in the choir, for his voice was still good. The prison authorities liked Aksionov for his meekness, and his fellow prisoners respected him. They called him grandfather, and the saint. When they wanted to petition the prison authorities about anything, they always made Aksionov their spokesman, and when there were quarrels among the prisoners, they came to him to put things right and to judge the matter. No news reached Aksionov from his home, and he did not even know if his wife and children were still alive. One day a fresh gang of convicts came to the prison. In the evening the old prisoners collected round the new ones and asked them what towns or villages they came from and what they were sentenced for. Among the rest Aksionov sat down near the newcomers and listened with downcast air to what was said. One of the new convicts, a tall, strong man of 60, with a closely cropped gray beard, was telling the others what he had been arrested for.
"Well, friends,"
he said,
"I only took a horse that was tied to a sledge, and I was arrested and accused of stealing. I said I had only taken it to get home quicker, and had then let it go. Besides, the driver was a personal friend of mine. So, I said, 'It's all right.' 'No,' said they, 'you stole it.' But how or where I stole it, they could not say. I once really did something wrong, and ought by rights to have come here long ago, but that time I was not found out. Now I have been sent here for nothing at all. But it's lies I'm telling you. I'd been to Siberia before, but I did not stay long.
Where are you from?
Asked someone.
From Vladimir.
Please support our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, share, and press the bell for more videos.